The Global Innovation Initiative Group, which has the exclusive rights holder to the Global Startup Awards, is in search of Africa's leading innovators with SDG-aligned solutions that strive to power and light up Africa, as well as feed and industrialise the motherland. Joining me via video link is Jo Griffiths, co-founder of the group, to talk us through the process of identifying the winners and this year's competition. Jo, thank you for your time. Talk to us about the Global Startup Awards. What are they and what do they represent?
Good evening, Hugo, and thank you for having me on. The Global Startup Awards is the largest international startup competition, representing over 123 countries across the globe. And the Global Startup Awards Africa is focused on all 55 African member states. And what we do is we scout across all 55 countries to find the top talent, the top SDG-aligned solutions by mobilizing many innovation hubs across the continent so that we can really get startups seen, get them connected to networks, and ultimately connect them to funders.
Now, talk to us about this process of accessing this talent across the continent, because I'd like to imagine that there are individuals that have some really, really brilliant ideas, but in remote parts of various African countries.
Yes, Hugo, I think it's a good question because we try to be as inclusive as possible by scouting across the continent. And the reason we've been able to do that is we've been working in the innovation ecosystem for the past decade. And in doing so have created a very, very comprehensive network of innovation stakeholders. So we work across the value chain. We work with the innovation hubs. We work with universities. We work with corporates. And obviously, we work with the startups themselves. So the biggest challenge startups face is actually having visibility. And we know that to solve some of the world's greatest challenges right now, like climate change, we know that we need to almost have a new industrial revolution powered by millions of sustainable innovation solutions. And we know that a lot of them exist here on the African continent, but they need that visibility. We need to tell their stories in order for us to connect them to the right networks, in order for them to be able to access new markets, and in order for them to be able to connect to funders to get the funding. And I think that's why we also created the Gig Africa Fund, so that we can actually fund the winners of this competition. So it's a massive operation. It takes an army of about 300 people, which includes industry experts as jury members to judge the startups. It involves innovation hubs themselves to help us scout for the talent locally on the ground. So it's a big operation, and as last year we had 7,600 entries from 54 countries. So when we cast that net, we get a lot of response.
So I can only imagine that some of your winners, if not all of your winners, were absolutely brilliant. Talk to us about the winners. What areas of innovation do they fall under? What is it that they've come up with, and what do they get in return for coming up with those innovative ideas?
Sure. In terms of the entries, like I said, it went from a very large number, and we have to whittle it down to the top 12. And in doing so, that's against different categories. So we have a commerce tech winner, an agri-tech winner, ESG, women in tech, health tech, and mobility and logistics. And they're kind of the core elements of the scout-ups with which we scout. What's interesting, and some of my favorites I'll talk about now, is we had a lot of circular economy startups. We had a lot that are looking at climate mitigation and resilience solutions. One is a beetle called Scarab Tech that effectively eats plastic and produces clean energy, for example. Others are a lot focused on health tech, being a great need within the continent, with 25% of the world's disease burden sitting here. We find a lot of health tech solutions here, especially enabling access to quality healthcare at scale across the continent. Obviously, as a result of the pandemic as well, we're seeing a lot of health tech and telehealth solutions coming through. So we had My Health Africa, as one of our health tech winners, along with some of the country winners, AI Envision It Deep, which is a radiology solution for pediatrics. So that's an AI solution. Another one of my favorites is turning plastic into bricks to build affordable housing. So the solutions are endless. And we'd like to award everybody. But what we do is we give them access to our networks. And that's the most important thing. On the global level, in terms of the competition, we're really striving to find the top 1% of talent. But on the African continent, we're also looking at that 99% of how we capacity build those startups in order for them to succeed as well. One of the things that they win is the opportunity to have investment conversations with the Gig Africa Fund, and we aim to fund as many winners as we can of the awards. But also the winners get to go to the global finale. And this is critical that these African startups actually get to showcase on the global stage. So in March this year, we are going to Copenhagen for the global finale, where our African winners will be up against some of the global winners, which is going to be a first. So I'm very excited about that.
Well, we're excited about all that's happening. Jo, appreciate your time. Thank you so much. And that was Jo Griffiths, Global Innovation Group, speaking to us about the Global Startup Awards Africa.